She lives the high life that everyone envies. Yet once she was just a poor girl who failed high school. Tammy was a high achiever, but then she met a scum teacher. When her affair was exposed, her teacher blamed Tammy for everything.
그냥 잘해준 거였었는데 유미가 먼저 저한테 접근했어요.
그런 거 아니잖아요. 선생님 왜 거짓말하세요?
In the end, the teacher was only suspended, and she had to run away in the night. She was forced to change schools only 4 months before her exams. The unfamiliarity of the environment and the disturbance of her mind made her fail this time unexpectedly. But to reassure her parents, she inadvertently lied about getting into university. Behind her back, she began to prepare for a repeat of her studies. She was prepared to study hard, but it takes a million lies to make up for one lie. A housemate who lived off campus and went to university with her, thought Yumi was a student at her school, accidentally took her to experience university life. Gathering with her club members, Yumi felt the joy and satisfaction of it. The housemate even took her to a club. Orientation activities. Her good looks quickly attracted the attention of many boys. She also met her college seniors. The two soon became lovers. But this life of vanity also caused Tammy to fail again. But there was a way out. The senior wants to take her with him to study abroad. Tammy sensed the opportunity. She finds her parents. Once again, she lied to get her place to study abroad, despite her family's poverty, but her parents supported her. Tammy thought she would start a new life, but before she left, the senior received a phone call from her mother, saying that there was no such person as Tammy at the university. The day the lie finally came to light, Tammy was alone in the wind. What started out as a well-intentioned lie, and now it's tearing her apart. And to add insult to injury, a few days later she suddenly received a phone call. Her father had died of cancer. She hadn't told him so that her future wouldn't be affected. Yumi returned home, devastated, but she didn't even get to see the last of her father. Yumi watched her father record the money he had transferred to her. She felt so guilty. Now she is left with a mother who can't speak. She had to take on the responsibility of raising her mother. Without a degree, she had to work odd jobs. But the hard life never changed a bit. By coincidence, she moved to a mansion to work as a maid. Although she was exposed to many high-end items, she looked at all the luxury. But the world is an unfair place. She could only imagine the life of a rich family in secret. But her own life hasn't changed a bit. Not even the freedom to choose her own life. A message from her mother wanting to see her, but even asking for a day off was met with a loud scolding from the housekeeper.
얘들 문제가 뭔지 알아? 게으른 거 멍청한데 남들 하는 거 다 하고 사려니까 그 모양인 거야.
In contrast, a lady's relaxed lifestyle. They just said the wrong thing. The rich lady
유미.
Anna was indifferent so as not to be exposed. At first she didn't care. When they met again, she teased Anna about winning the lottery.
너 뭐 로또 같은 거라도 된 거야?
Compared to the lady's relaxation, Anna's heart was tormented. She was afraid that her identity would be discovered. In order not to meet her again, Anna began to climb the stairs day after day, just as she had worked so hard to get to this position. But the perfect persona made of lies was so fragile. But one day, she pushed open the door and ran into the lady. She looked at Anna in such a state of disarray with derision, because she had found out about Anna, that she was impersonating her. As the first person to discover her lie, the lady was amused that her own mediocrity had stolen her identity to become a university professor and joined a powerful family. She was also surprised that she had not been discovered, but more concerned that she had stolen her own life, thinking that she was committing fraud.
안나 씨, 이제 어떡하죠?
In the face of the lady's questioning, Anna also ran her ruthlessness through to the hilt, falling to her knees directly in front of her with a thud, stating that she would not do it again. She asked for a little more time, but Mademoiselle was not kind-hearted. She asked Anna to give 3 billion to compensate herself. Faced with such a lavish request, it would be difficult for Anna to do so without her family's money. But the lady didn't care about that. She threatened her husband. She only gave her husband a month's time. It turned out that because the lady had a good deck of cards, but she's been beaten to death. The luxury shop she ran was facing closure. She has guaranteed a building in her house. Now she needs $3 billion to fill the hole. Despite Anna's glamorous life in the eyes of the world, but in reality, life is not what it seems. Her husband is busy socializing for the election of an MP, not as sweet as when she was in love. Her predecessor let Anna help him unconditionally, and now she's been discovered by the lady. A series of pressures are pushing her out of breath, and the maid is in the middle of it. She wanted to take 2 days off, because the baby was having an operation. It was at this moment that Anna finally exploded.
내가 왜? 아줌마도 집까지 가야 돼요. 내가 왜 그딴 놈한테 신경 써야 돼요?
She used to be a servant, and now she's living the life she hates. Suddenly she realizes that something is wrong. She finally agreed to the maid's request. In Anna's heart, only her former housemate was a true friend. She saw the hardship of her housemate's life, so through her husband's connections, and recruited her into a big company. However, she ran into Anna's ex-boyfriend who was going to study with her. Anna's ex-boyfriend who was going to study together. The ex-boyfriend tells the housemate about Anna's falsified qualifications. The fabricated lie is finally falling apart. Anna is in the underground car park, looking at the lady who was going home, and all of a sudden, a wicked idea grows in her mind. She stepped on the gas and headed for the lady. She drove her car towards the lady. But in the end, she slammed on the brakes. She was too kind to do such a cruel thing, and the lady didn't even panic.
왜? 못하겠어?
She seemed to have seen right through Anna, because Anna's husband was running for parliament. The alert rich woman came to Anna with a little special gift. Anna also gave the lady the 100 million she received. I thought the lady would stop there, but she threw the 100 million on the ground in humiliation.
돈으로 안 되는 게 없는데 만약 안 되는 게 있다면 혹시 돈이 부족해서가 아닐까 생각했잖아.
She told Anna to think about it again. Anna had to compile a list of rich women. She went from one to the other, because she had to ask her husband. The rich women always left special gifts, and the lady now had her own special treasures. She received her little girl from her ex-husband to celebrate her birthday here. On the other hand, Anna's housemates had also found out about Anna's falsified qualifications. She started to do some research on her, and slowly unearthed Anna's, step by step. The lies were fabricated. Anna's husband found a journalist. The housemates compiled some dirt on her rival, ready for her to walk out. The housemate didn't want to get involved, but Anna's husband told her to take her chances, or she'd lose her job.
일하다가 기회를 잡는 게 그게 실력.
And he talked about Anna. It seemed he had an insight into what was going on.
이해하시죠?
안 하다.
나랑 결혼을 했잖아.
The housemaid who was under pressure, had to agree to the thing. Anna's husband was elected mayor of Seoul, time and again. Anna built up more and more. She was on her way to reaching her goal of 3 billion. In order to meet the time limit, Anna had to make up for her many social engagements a day, so much so that she had to buy antibiotics at the drugstore. But on the television, she was surprised to see the story of a young lady who committed suicide in her car because of a stock crash and marital discord. The story of the lady who committed suicide in her car. On the way back, she also saw that the police were all around her villa. After all this time, Anna was finally able to summon up the courage to press the lift that frightened her, but she seemed to see something in the lift. Never have imagined that the CEO husband she married was a very controlling man. The whole person is made up of lies too. Not only that, he killed her ex-wife and the young lady who stood in her way. Now he's threatening Anna by holding her neck. Just as Anna's face turned red and she couldn't breathe, her husband let her go, because he had Anna in his grasp. He wasn't afraid that she would tell the truth about what she had done. He also turned Anna into a puppet, stopped her work as a professor. She was a tool to help him in the election. But Anna is not a person to be controlled. Outwardly, she supported her husband, but secretly, she began to investigate his criminal record. When she had gathered enough information, she finally chose to blow her own cover. With all the evidence in hand, she found her journalist housemate. This is the story of my relationship with him. She used to be scared that her fake identity would be discovered. Now, even with the prospect of jail time, she decided to follow her heart. Anna asked her housemate to find the prosecutor when her husband was at his most relaxed. To find the prosecutor, to report the evidence. And right in the middle of the election vote, she suddenly received a call from her mother's nursing home. Her mother had been looking for her. I don't think she's going to last much longer. Anna had chosen this fake identity, but now she was tied to this place. She couldn't even decide if she wanted to see her mother. It was only after her husband was elected mayor. She only said she wanted to visit her mother. My mother is critically ill, but her husband didn't give her the chance. He forced her into the lift. She was going to the United States tomorrow to pick up her husband's children. Anna also told her flatmate that this would be the best opportunity. It was on the plane. She received the news that her mother had died, having been denied access to her father through lies the last time, and now she couldn't see her mother off. She shed tears in silence, but it didn't change anything. Just as she was getting off the plane and heading to her home, Anna received a text message from her flatmate. She found the prosecutor, but she was stopped by someone upstairs. Anna suddenly learns from her husband that she was going to be housed here. But the reality is that Anna has no more use for her. She was going to be tied up in America. Anna decided that something had to be done. She found out that her husband wasn't wearing his seatbelt, just as he was fleeing from a reindeer, and lost control of his car. In the confusion, she pulled the handbrake. The car crashed straight into a road sign. Anna wobbled out of the car, and her husband was stuck inside. Anna found a place where she could get a signal, but the message from her housemate was, the prosecutor's office had been paid off. The housemate on the other side was trying to get attention. She was standing by the window of the prosecutor's office. Anna was determined not to let this demon to persecute others. She took the burning bag and threw it straight into the car. Now, she could finally climb out of the mire of lies. There was so much hopelessness and sadness along the way. Soon the news of the mayor's death spread across Korea, but no one came to the funeral to pay their respects. And Anna was away from the false reality of the city, living a life of leisure in a remote cottage.